Yeah, I think we can see quite a lot of hotels really accepting that shift that they need to move their technology to the cloud, especially as a key driver. We had the pandemic because hotels had to connect much more third-party systems, like a digital guest journey or other tools, to their tech stack, and just realize that the legacy PMS often, which is still on premise, was just a bottleneck. And therefore we can see that transition to the cloud. However, of course, this kind of transition also means that they have to restructure the technology stack, and they have to, spend the time, the resources, and budgets also to do this transition. So this was, of course, a challenge for many hotels, small as large, because during the pandemic everybody was at home, and therefore you don't have the resources to do that shift. However, especially mid-sized chains, you can really see now that they focus on having a better technology stack because they can also streamline their operations with that, bring in more automation, and with the times ahead, where we don't have always full occupancy, etc. You need technology and your tech stack to kind of support your business to be able to stay profitable and successful in the future. Yeah, so AI and machine learning, of course, it's one of these tech buzzwords which you hear in the industry for quite some time. And I think the prerequisite first, before you can use AI and machine learning, is that you need to have access to your data. You need to have clean data about your customers, about your business. Somewhere where we see already AI and machine learning playing a bigger role, especially in distribution, so revenue management, also website conversion, chatbots. This is where typically you had already a lot of data, or the vendors could collect a lot of data from the internet, and through this kind of automate processes and track and give recommendations via AI. And we see this much more also with more digital touch points for the guest itself, so that you don't just have online data, but also on during stay data, and you can combine all of that. And when you have all of this data and this data is clean, then you can start using machine learning and AI to identify patterns, special interests maybe for certain groups, or maybe also go from a more reactive kind of analyzing where are issues that actually AI can help you predict, where are bottlenecks, where are points of friction, so that you can improve that more. But the prerequisite for this is definitely access to data, and that you also have data which is clean and structured, that you can use it for analysis. Hotels really focused when implementing digital guest journey on the guest, of course, and the touch points and how they can improve the relationship with the guest and the customer journey. However, especially through the pandemic, and the new staffing crisis, or actually the staffing crisis which has just accelerated over the past few years, if you really want to streamline processes, and if you really want to leverage the benefits of, for example, a digital guest journey, it's not just about making the life easier for the guest, but it's really looking at, okay, what are the processes from the staff side and the employee side at each of these touch points. Because many people think about, oh, online check-in will help me so much and will streamline a lot of process. However, they forget about that most of the manual process is done at the checkout, where the employee actually often still has to send out kind of the invoice manually by hand. If you really want to be able to work more staffless and really offer the possibility of maybe not having your whole reception team there for the whole day, but maybe in the morning only have one person there, then you could make sure that you also automate for the ones who do the online checkout, that the invoice is sent automatically directly to the guest. So it's these kind of details where you can actually really benefit from automation, and therefore for a business on the one side it's really important to focus on the employee journey to reduce costs, but also we need to make the jobs easier for hotel staff. Not everybody is trained to know how to do a check-in or things like that. So I think this is also very important to focus on making just these processes more intuitive, easier to learn, so that also people from across the industry can just join hotels and be able to do the easy tasks, and software should enable that. What technology trends? I think it really depends also on the segment. So I think we'll see a continued shift of hotels really focusing on having a flexible tech infrastructure. So because we saw through the pandemic that trends can come and disruptors can come from one day to another, and therefore not necessarily your systems will stay the same or the ones which you need for the future. So now it's the time to really make sure that you're flexible on that end. But also for hotel chains especially, you can see that there's a lot of opportunistic growth, new hotels being acquired or openings, operator changes. And there you can still see that often the IT vendors are kind of the bottleneck because they have a timeline of, I don't know, 6 to 9 months to implement their systems. And this is a shift where you can see a lot of hotel operators saying, hey, we need to be able to take over that property, be live in 2 months, and it just needs to work. And I think this is again, really looking at tech as an enabler for hotels and not tech as the bottleneck or the necessity. So really, and this is, I think, the biggest trend. Of course, there's a lot of different trends around, but I think really hotels embracing technology to achieve their mission and vision is key, and it's going to be driving 2022 in the future.